up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, Enrichers? Carter Wilcoxson, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Hey, welcome back, Enrichers. Carter Wilcoxson coming to you from a cooling off in the summertime in Phoenix. It didn't even break triple digits here today, which is kind of unusual this time of year, end of July, first part of August. We are super excited about getting one of our youngest advisors on the show today. But before we bring in our guest today, I want to go ahead and bring my co-host, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, the man, the myth, the legend, also the host of the Health Hero Show, Tim James. Tim James, how are you, my man?
Dude, I'm doing great. Life just keeps giving you lessons, right? So I moved back on the farm a couple months ago. There's a lot of construction going on, a lot of farm equipment and things to move up and clean up. And, I think I've been working on my health for 12 years and I literally feel like invincible. Like I'm sprinting around in the woods, 5-7 miles, a couple times a week, no problem. And, I think I lifted too much stuff. And then when I was doing squats, I tweaked my back. So I don't think it was the squats, but I think it was all the, lifting anvils and pulling fence stakes out and throwing boards. And, I've been going like crazy for a while. And I got pissed because I was like, dang it. Cause it's like, okay, I can't really do what I want to do now physically. Right. And it reminded me of my father. Cause like right now he physically, he's been in pain for a decade or two, just because of his arthritis and stuff like that. But he's not making any changes. That's his choice. And then I have another buddy who's got really bad, he's my age and he's got really bad gout. He can hardly walk around. He's like on crutches. So I just meditated about it and I really got into really their vibrational frequency of what life is for them. And so what I got out of it was I felt a lot more compassion for my dad and for my father and my friend and anybody else out there that's dealing with pain on a constant basis, because it took like 3-4 days for it to go away. And then I thought everything was fine on Friday, because I think I threw it out like on Saturday or Sunday last week. And everything was fine on Friday. So I was out throwing lumber again. I filled up a 40-yard dumpster full of lumber and broken crap and tweaked it again. Then went out dancing that night like crazy. And then now here it is, Monday. My freaking back hurts again. So I'm just going to take it easy, stretch. And I think it's a good reminder for all of us that it doesn't really matter what happens in life. It's how we respond to it. And anytime something happens to you, you want to always look for the benefit for you. So what is the benefit? Well, my back's killing me. Well, that's the universe telling me I need to slow down a little bit. I need to do more yoga. I need to, reflect. I need to be more. It's giving me compassion for other people that are in pain, because I haven't felt pain like this in a long time. And it's just like, man, I don't want any part of it. So my heart goes out to all of those people dealing with pain. Andrew was just mentioning pre-call that he had some friend or family member, somebody that had eczema, and it got so bad they actually had to move, right? They had to move because it was worse than the area that they lived in. So, but I had eczema really bad on my knee, huge patch on my elbows and stuff. So whoever that was, we can talk about it in the health segment if you want to, but I'd be happy to help them. So anyway, that's my reflections of the day from Tim.
Great. Well, no, that's, by the way, that's awesome, and it is, I think, the universe telling you, or at least reminding you to be appreciative of your health, right? I mean, I think, honestly, I know myself, anytime I get sick, it number one, if you get sick and you're like, you can't do anything, you're laying in bed, your wife's taking care of you, waiting on your hand and foot. Maybe that's just my wife. What it does is
he's very chauvinist.
I am. Well, she's awesome that way. No, I mean, she takes really good care of me.
She's a team player. She's taking care of you when you're down. That's cool.
That's exactly right. But it gives you time to reflect on all kinds of different things, and it helps you to appreciate when you are healthy, right? So that way you don't take it for granted. So people need to get sick. I believe that they need to get sick. And I mean, obviously there's been many guests on here and we've talked a lot, Tim, just offline about how, how that benefits your immune system, when you get sick, so it can help you fight for the next time, even stronger. So,
It's called resilience. You build up resilience
yeah.
through your interferon system. There's a technical term.
Exactly. So without further delay, though, Enrichers, we're really excited. I want to go ahead and bring in Andrew Wallace of Conti Wealth Advisors. And Andrew is one of the younger, maybe the youngest, I'm not sure, financial advisors we've had on the show. And we got a chance to meet one another, I think, actually on LinkedIn, if I remember right. And I asked him if he'd want to be a guest on the show because I'd love to get someone's perspective that's young. So, Andrew, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on, dude.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you've got your, now for those of you who are listening to this podcast and not viewing and everything, he's got his he's perfectly positioned with his Conti Wealth Advisors tchotchkes there on your desk. So nice job, nice work, nice advertising for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, yeah. So as we normally do on this show, and this is going to be interesting because it probably wasn't that long ago for you. We like to hear the backstory from what it was that brought you into the financial services business. You know, at I believe you said you're 23 years old, so you know you can expand upon that. But you know, take the enrichers back on where it was that you know you first remembered. Maybe there's an influencer or something that happened to me early on in life that, you know, just drew you to becoming a financial advisor.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what the first thing was, but I always liked the idea of being like a businessman as a kid. And then in high school, I had the opportunity to take a managing personal finances with Excel class. It was one of my electives, so I just took that class and we got to build out a $100,000 artificial stock portfolio. So we tracked the stocks throughout the year and just you know, saw how our portfolios did and stacked up against each other. And it kind of became, you know, a big competition between my friends and I to see who could make the most money. And that's really where I started, you know, getting interested in the stock market. So going into college, I was kind of debating on what to major in. I was leaning towards marketing. But then I picked finance because I figured that was a good degree to have for a broad range of jobs. I went into the finance career path and, you know, just started taking the regular classes. A lot of it was CFA related and things like that. There wasn't a lot of talk about financial planning. And then when I was looking for an internship my junior year, my mom put me in touch with an advisor that she knew from teaching years back. So his name was Patrick Barry. He used to be a school teacher with my mom. He was looking for an intern. So we got in touch. I interviewed with him, learned a little bit about the financial planning world and thought I would really enjoy that. So I took that internship, worked with him throughout my junior year, summer, as well as through my senior year, and became a fully licensed advisor in September following graduation. And then I've just been going ahead ever since.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. So it was a competitive thing that really sort of started because, I mean, who doesn't like to make more money, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So now I see that, and again, Enrichers, if you're not watching, I see that you're wearing a polo there, and we talked a little bit about you haven't had a chance to play either no golf or very little golf so far this summer. But were you like in a competitive situation other than that? Like, did you play sports in high school and college and things of that nature to kind of sort of fuel the flames of competition?
Yeah, so I grew up playing lacrosse. I was a goalie for a long time, which is weird because I was always the smallest kid on the team. I really enjoyed goalie for a while, and then I ended up stopping lacrosse right before going into high school. I was just tired of getting those rubber balls pelted at me all the time. So I switched to track and field, and I sprinted for a while, and then I did long and triple jump as well. In college, I did not play any sports, so I kind of lost some of that competitiveness through those 4 years. But yeah, I definitely have a lot of competition in my life, especially growing up with two brothers. You know, there's always brotherly competition involved with everything you do.
Yeah, that sibling rivalry. I was going to ask you about if you had any siblings and everything. So you said two older brothers?
So I'm the middle, one older, one younger.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's why we get along so well whenever we first started talking, because you're a middle child as well. And, us middle kids, we're pretty special, Tim. I don't know if you know that or not.
Very special.
No pun intended there. So you ended up going to college. And where did you end up going to college at?
Indiana University of Pennsylvania. It's out near Pittsburgh. It's kind of a smaller school, but
That's a little confusing to me. Indiana University in Pennsylvania.
yeah. So the town is called Indiana, Pennsylvania,
Oh,
and the college is most of that town.
gotcha. I got you.
Yep.
So you grew up in the Northeast, and you're just been there your whole life, pretty much.
Yeah. So I've grown up in Maryland. I was born and raised in Maryland. I went to school in Western PA, and now I work in Harrisburg or Camp Hill, which is Central PA.
Yeah. So obviously you're early 20s. So I would, a lot of the enrichers, guests that come on here, most of them have a family or whatever, but I'll assume that you probably even had time to think about starting a family because you've just been early on and starting your career.
Yeah, too young for that. I'm sure it's in the future, but too young to be planning for it now.
Oh, nice. Well, so did you have any type of guidance or any insights or any assistance that you might have gotten in the financial that served you well in the financial services business from either your brothers or your mom and dad?
Yeah, so my parents were always super big on putting money away and saving. I grew up a spender. I never understood their viewpoint for a while until I reached college and, was handling my own finances and quickly realized that, yeah, you need to save a lot of money. So I definitely took that from them later on than I should have, but putting money away and not just spending every cent you get. So that definitely helped me through college and now after post grad life. And especially in the field I'm in, if you can't really be a good advisor if you can't manage your own money, right?
Well, it's kind of tough to take advice from someone that they're not, practicing what they preach.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why, Tim, and I know we'll get in this in the third segment, everything or anything that Tim ever recommends, suggests, or whatever, it's always because he incorporates it himself into his own lifestyle.
Right.
So it's
it's definitely important.
Yeah, I would say almost critically important. So, so you have been there, and I know we're getting ready to take a break and everything, and get more into CWA, Conti Wealth Advisors. But you started there how long ago? Because you're 23, you just graduated high school. Feels like high school, right? You don't remember graduating, or you remember graduating high school fairly soon, right? But you just graduated college. So how long have you been there at Conti Wealth Advisors then?
So I just passed my 2-year mark. Like I said, I started the end of my junior year interning. So I was doing a lot of, data entry. But the advisor I worked with, he brought me into a lot of meetings, especially once he knew that this is what I wanted to do after college. He started bringing me into a lot of the meetings, showing me how to build out financial plans. So I really got a lot of that experience before I was even fully licensed, which was really great. And I think helped me a lot after becoming licensed. So then I became fully licensed in September of 2021 and joined his team. So I started building my own book and servicing his clients. And then about 4 months ago now, I moved up to the Camp Hill office and started working under Tony Conti and his team. So I'm kind of doing the same thing. I'm building out my own book as well as, helping service Tony's existing clients, build plans for new clients coming in and things like that.
So talk a little bit about, and maybe this will be my last question. I know Tim's probably thinking we got to go to a commercial break, but I want to talk a little bit about your internship. as a young advisor just starting out and everything, talk about the benefits of doing an internship. Like if you were going to give it advice to someone that's thinking about going down this route, on how beneficial that was to you and how beneficial that could be to other young advisors.
I'd say the first thing that comes to my head is just getting those reps in client meetings. You know, especially in my first few, I would almost pray that clients would cancel because I was so nervous to talk to people. But over time, those nerves really settle and it doesn't affect you as much anymore. So I'd say first is just getting the reps in of meeting with all those clients, getting used to talking to people. Second, financial planning incorporates so many moving parts, and school can only teach you so much. I feel like it takes a lot of seeing different people's financial situations to really be able to provide the best advice. You know, you can only learn so much from a textbook. The real world experience definitely gives you a whole nother layer of knowledge that helps you out when you're your own advisor.
So if you were, when you were doing that internship, then how did you find that opportunity in the first place? Did they seek you, or they posted something on the, in college, and then you go, oh, that might be interesting? How did that start?
Yeah. So Patrick used to be a school teacher. My mom's been a school teacher for over 30 years now. And one of her friends was actually a client of Patrick. And she knew I was looking for an internship. He was looking for an intern. So we just got connected that way. So we had a bunch of calls to find out if this is something I'd want to do and see if I'd be a good fit to intern with him. So after a few calls, he decided that I would be a good fit to work with him, and he took me on. So I, did all the regulatory stuff, got my fingerprints done, all that fun stuff, and then started as soon as summer began.
So even as an intern, you were, so it was a paid internship then? Is that what I'm?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. That makes a little bit more sense. I wasn't sure. Now, I would bet that even if it wasn't paid, the amount of knowledge that you gained and experience you got just from that, early on role would be worth it, even if you didn't get paid to do it.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, the knowledge you get from actually doing the plans, meeting with the clients, I think it's more valuable than anything else I've learned.
Well, Tim, you remember when you were a young advisor, don't you?
Yeah. I was going to speak to that. In fact, we'll just do that. We'll take a quick break because I want to talk about that with Andrew in the second segment. So when we get back, we're going to get into what he's doing up there at Conti Wealth Advisors to help people keep their money safe. We'll be right back.
Estate planning. What does that even mean? When the inevitable happens for everyone on this planet, your estate plan kicks into action. But first, let's start with what an estate is. An estate is simply everything you own. Now, here's the issue and what needs to be understood when this event occurs. You only have two choices on this plan. Number one, either you plan how your estate gets handed out and distributed to those you leave behind. Or number two, your state decides who gets everything you own. For the first time ever, you can now take complete and total control of this plan that you've been deprived of for most of your life and generations before you. You can get personalized assistance along the way with a team of specialists whose job it is to make sure you have true peace of mind. It's important to understand that estate planning is a journey, and rest assured that our team will be available to you all along the way and at every step. Welcome to eState Plan, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. To learn more, make sure to reach out to your local advisor licensed with us or go to our website for more information.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here with my co-host Carter Wilcoxson. Today in the house, we've got Andrew Wallace from Conti Wealth Advisors. Andrew, you were talking about what's the most important thing in financial advising for people that are new coming into the business. It's not passing your Series 7 or your 66, it's basically a big relief just to get it done, because it's just like this roadblock in your way to eventually go actually meet with people in the real world and start doing real world stuff. Testing. I think a lot of the testing nowadays in all industries is just there to create a lot of fees for the testing companies, but a lot of the stuff that we have to learn doesn't even really pertain to the real world, unfortunately, but that's what we have to deal with. And I remember the 7 and the 66, not fun tests. But when I got involved in financial advising, I actually went to work for a firm, was independent, and the guy was a marketing madman, right? So he was doing 3 client presentations a week at dinner parties, like at really nice restaurants, 3 a week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. And it was just like, he had his whole year planned out, $150,000 marketing budget, but it drove the engine of this whole thing. And for me coming in, I was like I was a little nervous, like scared to talk to people, but I would sit in on I trained with him as he would do the presentations, and he just had me do the first presentations, right? Because then there's the second and the third. So he trained me in the beginning just to do the first presentations. And when you have one every hour on the hour, back to back to back to back, I mean, you get really good at it real quick. And you're not really worried if people are going to say no or not, because there's somebody else coming in right behind them. So I got a lot of experience. I probably in the first year got probably 10 years worth of experience that a normal advisor would have, simply because I saw so many faces and I got to go through the reps. So I think a big takeaway for anybody listening here in any profession is to do apprenticeship. Very smart thing that you did, because you were in the real world already, getting real world training, seeing the appointments, being involved in them, seeing them. And then when it came time for you to actually do them, you were like 2 steps ahead of everybody else, because you've already been there, done that. You already developed that skill, which I think that's cool. And I think there's a big lack of that in our country today, where it's like you go to school and then you just go, okay, and then you go randomly get a job. Where apprenticeship is such a great thing, because you can transfer skills from the person who's been doing it forever to yourself. And then all of a sudden you can catch up a lot faster, and then you can master that skill much quicker as well, so that you can then provide more benefit to the end user, which is important. So anyway, dude, I thought that was really cool. And have you noticed with new advisors coming in that have not got apprenticeship, that just takes them a little bit longer to get their head wrapped around stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, if you don't have that experience coming in, I feel like you don't get the benefit of getting to jumpstart everything, because you have to go through those growing pains at first of learning everything. And it's kind of like drinking through a fire hose. There's so many moving parts in finance, different tax strategies and investment plans and all those things that you don't hear about in school. I think school gives you a lot of the baseline knowledge you need, but you need to know how to apply that. And that's what the experience gives you. So having that internship, I wouldn't say it's mandatory, but it's probably the best thing you could do going into the real world.
Awesome.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about, and we were just, speaking originally on, you coming onto the podcast and everything. And I was really interested in some of the things you were sharing with me, Tony's background and his experience. And you were saying pre-show about how, like, you came in and his schedule is so crazy. You're like, I mean, I've never seen anybody's calendar look as crazy as this guy's, right? So what is it, that Conti Wealth Advisors that you've learned is kind of sort of a differentiator for, you versus, the different competition, there's that word again, that's out there?
I'd say one of the biggest things I've learned from them is we are a planning firm that offers investment services, and that every client's situation is completely different. There's no one size fits all solution for everyone. So we always do deep dives into people's financial situations before making recommendations regarding their investments. I think planning is one of the most important things that you could do, especially in your financial life, that a lot of people don't really know is out there. They don't know these sort of services exist. I know I really didn't before being immersed into this world. So it's really about putting the clients first, seeing what they care about, and what drives them to make sure they're going to continue putting in that work to hit their financial goals. And then we get to see what's the best route for them to take.
So I like what you said there, where you're a planning firm that also happens to do investments. That's
right.
That's really good. And I would venture a guess that you guys are probably incorporating, some tax deferral or some tax-free types of vehicles, i.e. life insurance, annuities, whenever you're doing a lot of those types of planning, because you need the different tools in your toolbox in order to put together a plan, because as you said earlier, everybody's situation is a little bit different, right? You need to have all the tools available to you so that you can have a plan that's going to be not only successful now, but also into the future.
Right, that's correct. So I'd say annuities and insurance is a smaller portion of what we do. But if it's the right fit for that client, then it's the right fit. We're really just trying to make sure our clients' needs are met in the most efficient way possible.
Yeah. So you've been there now for, I guess, basically the entire, pandemic.
Yep.
Is that right? So what's it been like there? What have you seen as far as like adapting to, all the things that are going on, and then how you guys are working with clients, and maybe how you're acquiring clients too, whether that be, virtual or, live. Talk a little bit about how that experience has been for you.
So I didn't see the entire adaption process because I started in June, which was right after, everything shut down from COVID. So I actually never met my original boss, Patrick. I didn't meet him in person for like 6 months. So it was all on Zoom. And I figured, it was so seamless the way they did it. I figured that it was a normal thing for them, which I was somewhat right. They had always done a little bit of Zoom, but never to the extent that we do now. I'd say a lot of our clients still like to meet in person, but I have some of my own clients that I've actually never met in person, and that they really like Zoom, and it's super convenient to work with. You just roll out of bed and you're on camera. But I'd say a lot of it is, we can do everything remotely in this career. There's e-sign for basically everything nowadays. You don't really need to have that office space, but a lot of it is building, that team mentality, and having those in-person days in the office really helps connect the team, and, meeting with clients. Some love it, and you feel that personal connection more.
Well, and obviously, and we've had a lot of guests on here that have, they've adapted along the way, and they've gone ahead and adopted having, more virtual meetings, because it expands their reach, right? Your clients don't have to be in Maryland or Pennsylvania, right? They can be in, Michigan, and they can be in California, they can be in, Florida. It doesn't matter, right? So that is that something that, Tony's company was going more that direction already, and it wasn't really a big change for them, or did that just get accelerated?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. Tony already had clients all over the United States, but now it just makes it easier because it's so normalized. Before, a lot of clients were iffy on Zoom because, you're talking about your personal information. It's pretty intimate talking about your finances, but when everyone got used to Zoom, I think it just makes it way easier to expand that way because geographical location is no longer a constraint for most people, that is. So I do think it helped accelerate a lot of that, and just it gives us so much more ability to talk to more people and impact more lives.
Yeah, so let's talk about, speaking of lives, let's talk about the lives that you serve. What is the what is the age range that you guys there yourself and or as a firm, what is the age range makeup?
So as a firm, it's difficult to say. We have, I think, 21 or 22 advisors now under the Conti Wealth umbrella. We've added a few recently, which is why I can't remember the exact number.
Sure.
Tony's client base is very diverse, I'd say. He works with a lot of people that are 30 years old, just starting their families, all the way up to business owners that are 70 and selling their business. So he has a broad range of clients. My favorite clients to work with, and most of my book is younger people. just because I can relate to them more. So millennials, in 20s, 30s, and 40s. I also think there's a lot of planning opportunity there and a lot of room to educate before, any poor decisions are made that really affect the strength of their plan over the long run.
Nice. So, what has Conti Wealth been doing as far as client acquisition goes, whether that's locally or regionally or nationally?
So as far as locally, we do a lot of in-person events, sponsoring different events. So we have partnerships with different companies that will go and do lunch and learns and things like that. We just ran a billboard campaign around central Pennsylvania. There's a lot of different moving parts at Conti Wealth as far as marketing goes. So I do a lot of my stuff on LinkedIn. I've really been trying to grow my LinkedIn presence and put out content to help drive some client acquisition for myself.
Nice. So, so you started out not necessarily quote unquote as a financial advisor, but you got that really good foundation when you came in. How's that transition been to your own clients versus learning on how you work with clients initially?
That's a good question. I'd say things are just a lot more seamless now because I've gotten so used to doing things. Before a plan might take me a couple days to finish, and now I can build out a plan fairly quickly and efficiently because I know the ins and outs of the softwares we use. I'd also say I know the correct questions to ask to kind of pull information that's harder to get out of people. And I think our meetings just run smoother now than they used to back in my early days.
Nice. So what's the percentage of your in-person visits versus virtual?
So clients I meet with, which includes my own plus Tony's clients, I'd say it's roughly 65% Zoom.
Okay.
But it truly does depend on, who I'm meeting with that week. Some clients love Zoom, some clients don't.
Well, it makes it really convenient, but then some of them are like, no, I need to see you across the table, shake your hand, right? The
Right.
whole match there, right? Because I mean, if you're dealing with people that are in their 70s, maybe there's a technological challenge or hesitancy. Would be my guess that's why things like that happen. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's definitely accurate. A lot of my younger clients prefer Zoom just because they live busy lives, and it takes 30 minutes out of their day if they were going to drive to the office and back. So Zoom just makes things more efficient for them.
Yeah, that is the one thing that I recognized, even from my own perspective, as being a marketing organization and a firm that helps advisors grow their practice and everything. For me, obviously, as a national firm, it was really easy. In the old, smile and dial days, when I first broke into the business about 20 years ago, what I love about it is that now I can have a meeting with somebody and I can now read the body language. I can now see what it is they're doing. So I think it's as big of an advantage, for us as advisors, whether it's to clients or to other advisors, as it is convenience for those, clients of ours that we're working with.
Yep. I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah. So it's been pretty nice and rewarding. And it is very beneficial to, and convenient to be able to have those types of meetings. But there's definitely times you want to be able to, look across, meet someone literally eye to eye and shake their hand, press the flesh, as we say, and maybe take them out to lunch or, actually have maybe a little golf outing. There it is, Tim.
Yep.
I got the golf in again.
It made it.
It's inevitable. It's
a
inevitable.
1-1.
I'm always getting in here. So, well, that's awesome. Is there anything else you want to share with us about Conti Wealth Advisors that, would be important for maybe a current client or prospect that may be looking to switch providers, possibly, that why you guys might be able to help them out more so than maybe their current provider?
Yeah, I mean, part of it would be, I'd say, I think the statistic is that the average life of a client with a financial advisor is somewhere between 7 and 10 years. At Conti Wealth, we've worked with some clients for like 3 generations. So Tony's grandfather was the first advisor in the family. And he didn't start Conti Wealth Advisors, but Tony's dad started CWA over 20 years ago now. So Frank, he's been in the business for 50 years this year officially. And then Tony took over Conti Wealth as the company. But we still meet with, grandkids of some of Tony's grandpa's original clients. So we have a lot of that personal touch that I'd say overrides those barriers of keeping a client for over 10 years. We really like to be personable with our clients and really get to know them and care about them, to make sure all their needs are met throughout their lives and their kids' lives.
Nice.
So you're either slipping something in their water or you're doing something really good over there for them, because it's not like a 7 to 10 year deal. It's like generational. People just, even the family members stick around, which is a huge thing. Succession planning is important. And you guys are probably, it sounds like you're probably doing a darn good job at that too. And that's why people don't leave you guys. So that is a differentiating factor. It's like real world results. It's like we have people, they just stick around. They don't leave. Why? Well, results. That's why. So perfect.
Exactly.
Time for another break, guys. We'll take a quick break and then we'll get back to one of my fun, exciting parts is we're going to talk about health. And when we return, we'll be right back.
You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently. We're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcoxson. Again in the house today, we've got Andrew Wallace from Conti Wealth Advisors, a firm that's doing a really good job over there, obviously, because they have, they've blown past the average, which is average person stays with a financial advisor 7 to 10 years. We just spoke about that. At Conti, they have generation after generation after generation sticking around. So they must be doing something good over there. There's something in the water, and I think it's results. All right, so this is where we flip the script, Andrew, and we get off the wealth topic and we get on to the health topic, which is another version of wealth. So what questions do you have for me, brother?
Yeah, so I'd say I used to be a lot more active than I am now, and I'm really trying to get back into that. So I used to be going to the gym all the time, really have fallen out of that routine. So what's one piece of advice for someone that's 23 years old looking to really step up their health game?
Make your health a priority.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. Like you can do all this financial planning and be a whiz at it and help other people and help yourself, and you have this great portfolio. But then all of a sudden you've got eczema, like we talked about, or you have gout and you gain 30 pounds. It's like, why would you want to carry an extra 30, 40, 50 pounds around your whole life? You know what I mean? It's like, why not just be fit? If you have this shot, like this life, you've been given this gift and this vehicle, which is your body, like, why not just have it be like a wild creature and run like a top, right? And I promise you, you'll make a lot more money doing it that way, and you'll be able to enjoy your money and enjoy it longer, unless you just are totally into succession planning. You want to make as much as you can, as fast as you can, and just die and give it to your kids. Like, if that's the path that you want to do, but nobody wants to do that, right? So health is always number one. It's always going to be in front of money, because like, if you don't have your health and you're in pain, you're suffering, you're overweight, you don't feel good, you're on medications, you got mental fog, and with all the Alzheimer's and dementia nowadays that's happening, like, everybody is at risk, right? So just recognize that, there will be a time when your heart your heart stops beating and you take your last breath. And between now and then, it's all about the quality of your life. And the other thing too is like, are you married, dude?
No, nope. I have a girlfriend, but not married.
Okay. And eventually, are you planning on having kids someday, or is that something in the works?
Yeah, definitely eventually. I want to, there's a lot of things I want to accomplish first, but definitely
Right,
in the
right.
picture.
But eventually, someday, you know. So I would always say put yourself first and take care of yourself. But eventually, you're going to want to have some kids. And those listening already have kids. Your kids are watching every move you make, like literally. That's why if you slip up and say a cuss word, and then your child pronounces it like perfectly with the exact same enunciation as you did, right? They mimic us. That's how they learn. That's part of the learning process and how they're developing. So, you know, by being healthy and being a good example and getting them into the kitchen and getting them outside and getting them into the dirt and getting them into the soil and gardening and growing sprouts in your house and being a very healthy example, that's the best way to teach your kids. Your kids are now being a health apprentice, right? They're just like you went to apprenticeship for financial advising. You said it was a huge leg up for you because you already kind of knew what to do because you've been doing it, right? So that apprenticeship process can start with our children as well. That way they're not lost and confused and wondering like, well, how come my acne is so bad, Mom? I need to get Accutane, and then poison themselves worse, or, you know, and then it's not like, well, the reason you have acne is because you're polluted, because you've been eating bonbons and ho-hos and ice cream and chicken strips and macaroni and cheese your whole life, and you have no nutrients in your system, and you're stressed out. So that's why you have it. And if you want to turn that around, don't just blame it on, oh, hormones are changing, which they are. But there's a lot of things. We've helped so many kids like clear up their acne. It's like ridiculous, right? So there are certain things that you can do to have a lifestyle that's going to be conducive to basically having a happy life so you can enjoy it. Because I have a feeling, and I know Carter would agree with me, that you're probably going to be a pretty financially successful dude. You know, I see that happening, or it's already in the process. Yeah. It's already done. You're just fulfilling the prophecy right now. But without your health, dude, as 23-year-old, I can tell you, because 12 years ago at age 37, I was a freaking mess. 42 pounds overweight. I was a financial advisor, running around to 3 offices, seeing clients back to back to back to back to back to back, go, 8 a.m. team meetings, and then nonstop until, 3 nights a week. I wasn't home till 10, 11 o'clock at night because we were doing those deals. And then the rest of the time I was home at maybe 8, 9 because of client meetings, because we had so many clients to see, lots of stress. And I kind of, the wheels were falling off. So luckily for me, I was able to turn around at 37. So my advice to you would be, don't wait. You're having this meeting, who cares about if you get any clients off this deal or not? If anything, for me, it's like, if you take away from this that your health is a priority, that could be a whole different fork in the road for you. And whether you get back in the gym, go for walks, start eating better, start focusing on your environment, cleaning up your body, I think this could be, I'm very excited just to share this with you, because I think you're probably going to take it and run with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to get back to a healthier lifestyle. One other question I had for you is that, so I see tons of videos online all the time about a bunch of different brands that are perceived as healthy and health foods, but in reality are not. So what are some like common misconceptions about health that you should, watch out for?
Well, there's so many, but I'll just give you just a few basic ones. Okay. Number one is consuming dairy products. All right. If we just forget about it and get all the emotion out of it, like I love cheese and I grew up on a cow farm, like I did. I grew up raising Hereford cattle. I grew up on a dairy farm. Dairy's good. What's the purpose of dairy in nature, or cow's milk? What's the purpose of cow's milk in nature? Well, baby cow. That'd be the number one answer on what's it called?
Family Feud.
Yeah, Family Feud. Wheel of Fortune, ding ding. It'd be number one. The purpose of cow's milk in nature is for a baby cow. The purpose of giraffe's milk is for a baby giraffe. The purpose for human breast milk is for a baby human. But do we consume human breast milk for our whole life? No. We only consume it for, it should be around 4 to, actually the average in the world, this blows people away, is 6 years, kids in the worldwide average, most of the population. And a lot of it's because they're very poor and there's not a lot of food to eat. So they're, getting what they can. My youngest child, or my oldest child, had breast milk for like 6 months, and his mom got sick and she dried up. He's had a lot of health issues. My youngest, he breastfed for 4 years. He is not as sick as the oldest. So very important that we do have breast milk for at least 2 years, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're having kids or grandkids, that's a very important thing. Prerequisite, at least 2 years to build up the natural immune system. But after that, you don't need it anymore. And why are we drinking from another species? It's really weird and bizarre. Think about it. If you were like driving down the road and you're like, man, I'm thirsty. Hey, there's a cow. And you run out there in the field, cross the fence, get under there, and you start sucking on the boob of the cow. Would you do that? Well, if you would, then maybe milk is a good thing for you. But if not, you really want to question this whole thing just because it's been in our society and mom and dad and milkshakes. And I mean, I get it. Like, this freaking shit's delicious, but what they do is they put sugar in it and they put other stuff in there. And there's weird things now they put in it. Like vanilla ice cream actually has anal secretions from beavers. So when you're eating vanilla ice cream, you're eating like beaver anal secretions. Think about that. That means strawberry too. So it's just weird stuff that they put in our body. But when you consume dairy, the physics of it is that you can't digest it because you have to have a substance called renin that the little baby cows have. Okay. We don't have that. So my thing would be get off of dairy products, because what is it? It's fat. Okay. If you break it down to its base components, it's fat. So you can get fat from nuts. You can get it from seeds and stuff like that. So you can have almond milk. You could have walnut milk. You could have Brazil nut milk. You could have cashew milk. There's a lot of different options. But here's another takeaway. There's these things called emulsifiers. And I don't think I've spoke about this before on this podcast. Maybe. All right. And there's 3 of them that you'll see quite often. One's called xanthan gum. Another one's called gellan gum. And the last one's called guar gum. Now, the first 2 you want to stay away from at all costs. Xanthan gum and gellan gum are actually going to eat away at your intestinal lining. So they're put into these drinks as an emulsifier. So when they blend it up, it doesn't settle as much, so that you don't have to shake it as much, because Americans are super lazy. We don't want to do that. We want to make it easy for you. So they put this in there as as something to get it to stop selling. It's an emulsifier, but it eats your digestive lining. So now you got off of dairy, you got away from the renin, and now you're getting away from all the problems that, like, throat, nose, and ear infections for young kids goes away very quickly, usually when they get off of dairy products. But now you go over to this almond milk. You're like, oh, I'm doing good for myself, my family. I'm going to get this almond milk. But it's got gellan gum. It's going to eat your intestinal lining. Or it's got xanthan gum. It's going to eat your intestinal lining. So just make sure there's none of that crap in there. And no sugar cane either. No sugar at all. You don't want, just get the unsweetened one. And then and if it does have it, guar gum would be okay, right? So this is the level of advice that we need to have and mastery in our foods today. Because if you don't know this shit, you're screwed. Like, you're literally screwed. And and it's so subtle, you don't notice it, but day in, day out, they're getting you. It's gonna get you. So it's just kind of like if you're a financial advisor and you see something, you're like, oh my God, yeah, we can't do that anymore, because it's like, let's just roll this over there. We're gonna, you know what? You're pissed off because your company's 401k is jacking you. Well, and you've never been happy with it. Well, why don't we roll that into a self-directed IRA, and you can put it into, you like investing in real estate, Bob, and then you can take your own money and invest it into real estate and then pay yourself back. And Bob likes that a lot better, right? So you can show them a different way. So something else would be, another quick tip would be wheat products. Best thing to do is just stay away from it. Okay. Just stay away from wheat. It used to be, the staff of life, 36% protein content. Now it's about 6 to 8% protein. It's been hybrid. They used to be 4.5 feet tall, big grass. Now they've been hybrid, big, tall, little bits of seeds, to short 18 inches and big fat seeds. It's all for production. They don't want the wheat to fall over. It's in wind. It's just better for production. It's good for commercialization, but it's not good for your health at all. And when you consume, the gluten's bad enough, but these gliadin proteins are really messing you up, messing your gut up. I just had Dr. William Davis on, who on my podcast, the Health Hero Show, we talked about, he's the author of The Wheat Belly. And he goes into depth. And I mean, I thought wheat was bad, but after listening to that dude, I'm like, holy crap, it's really bad. Don't put it in your body. Like, it's so bad. Like, and that's why, like, people get off of wheat and they get off of dairy and they get better. Right. So we saw this in, like, when, what was it? The paleo movement came out. It was actually that whole paleo movement wasn't driven by somebody who had a great idea. It was driven by the Cattlemen's Association to sell more meat. That the whole thing was drummed up. And what they say, get off of wheat and get off of dairy. And people started getting better. So they associated their getting better with the paleo diet. Well, it was getting off of wheat and getting off of dairy. It doesn't have to have paleo wrapped around it. Keto kind of did the same thing. It was like, oh, the keto diet's so amazing. What do they want people to get off of? Get off of wheat, get off of dairy. Right? So you have to learn this stuff and read between the lines and stuff like that. But there's just certain things out there that are in the products today that are really screwing us up on a micro level. And you have to be aware of this stuff. Otherwise, it's like literally walking on landmines. Most of the grocery store is pretty corrupted. 85% of the products in a good health food store, I wouldn't put in my body. So what's that say about the food delivery system today? It's broken. It's a broken system. So that's why it's very important for you to start growing your own food would be best. Growing your own sprouts at home in jars. You can do it without even out with dirt. You can do lentils and mung beans and fenugreek, and you can do alfalfa and broccoli sprouts and onion sprouts and radish sprouts and red clover sprouts. And you can have grocery stores start bringing sprouts in for you if you're not ready to grow them. You can go find out farmers markets and get to know your farmers and purchase from them and get a garden going, whatever. The key is fresh food, dude. Fresh food growing nutrient-dense soils. That's what you want.
Gotcha.
Any other questions, man? Anything about you're 23? Figured you want to be like, muscle man or something. That was what I wanted to do when I was 23.
That's what I originally wanted to be back in college, but I just I don't know if I have enough time or energy to be, super jacked. I just want to be healthy and, go do the things I want to do and look good and feel good. So I don't care as much about, getting huge and
that's
the big
good.
gains,
Well,
but
for the long term, the more muscle you have, the more your heart's got to work, right? But you do want to have muscle on your body, lean muscle, and that's good. I think it was episode 9 of my show. I actually interviewed Dr. John Jaquish, and listen to that one. You can triple your muscle growth in about 10 minutes a day with no soreness and no injuries. So there's a system that he used. It's legit. I've been using it and training people on it for years, and we've stopped people, guys like me and Carter's age, like from getting rotator cuff injuries and chest tears and bicep tears, and literally tripling your muscle growth in it's 10 minutes a day. It's ridiculous, but it's a system and it works. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show today. We appreciate you, brother. Hopefully you'll take some of that health stuff and let me just ask you a question. Ev, what you heard today on the health side of things, what resonated with you that you're going to take action on?
Just taking or making my health a priority. I feel like, I definitely just get home and munch on some chips or, whatever it is that I want to eat. But just prioritizing that, making time in the day to go out, be active instead of just, sit at my desk and then go home and sit somewhere else. So I definitely want to make it a priority again.
Okay, I'm going to share one more thing with you as far as chips goes, because you brought up, because I was a chip fiend. I'm a recovering chipaholic. Okay, and so one thing is that a lot of chips have canola oil in them. Are you familiar with canola?
Yep.
It's 92% plus GMO'd. It's messed up. Its original name was rapeseed. That's why they changed the name, because people just don't want to buy rapeseed just because of the name.
Right.
But ancient Chinese text shows that it should never be used for human consumption. And we've known this for like 10,000 years. Like it's only for like machinery and stuff like that. But and it doesn't really do a good job on it screws up the soil too. But so look out for canola oil especially. And then also look out for expeller pressed. Expeller. What that is they're these big, huge machines. They're called expeller machines, and they put seeds and nuts in them, and they just like big, huge metal grinder, and it presses. But through that turning and that pressure, it causes heat, and it raises the temperature up. And then anytime you take an oil and heat it over a certain temperature, it creates what's called a lipid peroxide. This is a known cancer causer. It's a carcinogen. So if you're eating chips that are expeller pressed, you're putting cancer-causing substance in your body. Lipid peroxides, look it up. That's why fried foods isn't great. So like if we have something like tempeh, and we have tempeh, which is it's a fermentation process for like seeds and beans and grains. And let's say we make, I don't know, like a lentil tempeh, right? And you want to cook it. We chop it up and we just fry it dry in the pan and brown it up. And then we take our oil mixture. Maybe we have avocado oil or olive oil, put our seasoning in it, and we take like one of those brushes, and then we baste it. We do it afterwards. We do not cook. And I know when you cook that oil, it's freaking delicious and it brings back all the memories and all that stuff. But you're probably going to lose your memory and get cancer eventually. It's just one more, it's just straws on the camel's back, man. And it's coming from everywhere. So when you're buying chips, you want to look for stuff like coconut oil, avocado oil that's not expeller pressed. Look for cold pressed oils, and that will eliminate a lot of the chips that have a lot of the other garbage in them as well. A lot of garbage in them. Gotcha. So look for sweet potato chips. You can look for chips that are made out of cassava root. There's a brand called Siete, and they've blown up. They've gotten huge. They're everywhere. They're a huge chip company. Now they've expanded in. They actually have like hard shell tacos too that are made of cassava root, which is a root vegetable. So it's way better than doing corn or having something in there with those weird, canola oils and expeller pressed oils. Stay away from them.
All right. Well, I have a lot to remember on the health side of things for sure. I'll have to re-listen to this.
Well, that's the good news, right? We're going to, it's recorded and everything. So you'll have the podcast, be able to listen, you'll be able to share it with others. And I can promise you every single time, the reason why, and I told you this pre-show before, Tim came on, is that my favorite part of this show is Tim's version, right? His portion of, because I learn something new every day. But I'll tell you something that you said, which is why I gave you the thumbs up on making your health a priority. That's something that Tim said in an episode, maybe 10 episodes ago, right? I was like, that's it. I just have to make it a priority, right? Stop not making my own health a priority. And then when you make it a priority, right, then you'll be successful. And, if you don't, but that one little, mindset switch really helped me a lot. So I'm glad to be able to hear you say that.
It's important too, because when you make your health a priority, you're basically investing in you. We talk about this all the time, whether it's investing in your finances, investing in your health, investing in your relationship, investing with your spiritual practice. Anytime you make an investment in you, system science shows us that you're going to get a 6x to 10x return. Andrew, how many mutual funds you got over there that are getting a 10x return?
Not many.
Right. So it's a big return. It's a high rate of return. The highest rate of return in the world is always investing in yourself one way or the other.
Yep. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. There you go. Awesome. Well, hey, Enrichers, we really thank you for joining us for another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. And if you want to be able to see all of our previous podcasts and to be able to see from all of our other great guests like Andrew Wallace of Conti Wealth Advisors, you can be able to go to our website at www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com and make sure to like, share, and subscribe wherever it is you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, or Google. So for my fantastic co-host, as always, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, Tim James, I'm Carter Wilcoxson, CEO and founder of CSI Financial Group. Thanking you for being able to join us for another episode. Andrew, thank you so much for coming on and being a guest and sharing your backstory and allowing us to be able to, glean some information from you. And maybe you're got some good takeaways that you could be able to go and implement, starting soon with your own health.
Definitely. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it, being invited on. And I'm excited to start making some changes to my diet.
All right.
Awesome. Well, hey, until next time, Enrichers, have a fantastic, wonderful rest of your day and week, and we will see you again on the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Enrichers, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxson.
And I'm your host, Tim James, and by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth Podcast with Carter and Tim.